Would you like to learn a fun and easy way to make layered gummies?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to show you how to make 3 types of layered gummies: a caramel apple, a pina colada, and a tequila sunrise. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott and Janie.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Here on WTF, every week we talk about unique ingredients and techniques and show you new recipes for your kitchen. So remember to subscribe and ring the bell, and of course, wait for our weekly giveaway of our fun ingredients. And this week, we are going to be showing you how to make layered gummies. So this is by customer request. A few people have written in and asked, it's fun to make gummies, but what if I want to put a few different flavors together or do something fun and do something different? So today, Scott's going to show you 2 new ways to make layered gummies. All right, Scott, when people are talking about layering gummies, what exactly are they looking for?
So they're trying to make 2 different flavors and then put them one on top of the other. So I mean, we made a few of them here, but you could do anything, like a cherry and a vanilla, or you could do an apple and a caramel like we made. So really it's just up to whatever flavors you want. And when you split them up like that, you can really intensify one flavor and then the second flavor as well. So you get them as you're chewing rather than just make it one big melded flavor. And they look really cool.
All right, and a few weeks ago, we did an episode all about how do you make different types of gummies. We did a whole primer on it. If you haven't seen it, we're going to link it to the end of this particular episode. Which of their many jelly agents did you find was the best for making layered gummies?
So the best part is you can pretty much use any gelling agent that we have, especially if you're starting with gelatin, you're just going a traditional gummy route. You can use a Perfectagel, which is a sheet gelatin, or you can use Instagel, which is a cold setting gelatin. So we made one with both of those today just to kind of nip it in the bud, so we didn't make one and then have people asking about the other. We wanted to give you both of them here, and they're super quick demos, super quick recipes to make. And all it is just knowing how to do it so you don't end up with what you thought was layered gummies, which just turned out to be regular gummies.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. And I think probably what people are wondering is, in which instance do I use which? So
yeah, so we're going to start with the gelatin-based, the gelatin sheet-based gummies. So I've already hydrated my gelatin sheets here, and that's basically just putting the water, and there's a little bit of water in the bottom of here. Put the water of the recipe in with the gelatin, so that way you don't end up with like little shards of non-hydrated gelatin, which can happen. Then you'd have to strain it. Sometimes the recipe doesn't work out, so make sure you hydrate your gelatin. I'm just going to start to let this melt a little bit. The control freak here is on super low, so it's going to start melting while I do the rest of my recipe here.
Okay, what kind of gummy? What flavor are we making?
I'm just about to get into that.
All right.
So we're going to be making the caramel gummy. Over here we have half gummies of sour apple. So it's just an apple with a little bit of tartaric acid in there. And we use tartaric acid for a pretty specific reason with these. Let me just get this in. So we talk about this, and then we can talk about the tartaric acid. I have sugar. I put a little bit of salt because I want my caramel to not be super salted, but I want that flavor to come through really nice and bright. And then a little bit of milk powder because I want to give it a bit of richness. So, but I don't want it to be completely creamy. And actually, on another recipe that we have here, which is our pina colada ones, I put coconut milk powder in there. So yeah, so we can make it really flavorful and creamy. So I'm going to add in my sugar directly into here. It's okay if there's a few little lumps in here. They should cook out. And if not, you can pass them through a strainer. That's really fine.
Right. And obviously we've been kind of making them in our little half molds here because that's what we have on hand and it's easy to work with.
Yeah, they're the most common for us, and they're easy to get out of the molds. But if you wanted to put them in something else, you absolutely could. It should work just fine. These gummy molds, or these gummy recipes, are just made to be gummies. So, so here, it's fine. I'm just going to break up this, get the full fat milk powder so we get a lot of the nice flavor in there. Let that boil. Now, one thing I'm going to add is a little bit of molasses because I really want that dark, kind of rich flavor. Not too much that it tastes like molasses, but it's also going to give a great color. And then, I've taken the governor off this, so be sure. You'll have like a little dropper on here, but I'm going to use about half of this container of Culinary Crystal's flavor drops. And this is the caramel flavor drops.
Okay.
So these are great for adding tons of flavor with only having to add a little bit of the flavor drops in there. I'm going to mix this up.
Are you going to bring it to a boil?
Yes, that's a great question. So while like gelatin melts at around 97 degrees, you want to bring it all the way to a full boil. You also need to watch it when it comes up to a full boil, or else it will boil over.
Right.
But you want to bring it up just to a boil. You know it's completely heated. You know that sugar's melted in there. That's really important. You want to just bring it all the way up to there. If you go a little bit lower, if it starts to simmer, it should be fine. Just give it a mix and make sure that it's completely heated. But you just want to make sure that everything is completely heated, melted, and ready to go in that. So I'm just going to let this go, and we can start our second demo while this comes up.
Okay.
So I talked a little bit about the tartaric acid earlier, and the reason you want to use that is that tartaric acid pulls less moisture out. So people have a big issue with gummies weeping. Usually you have to dry them, you coat them in cornstarch, you do all these things, and they tend to weep. It's just because you might be using the wrong acid. The citric acid and malic acid can sometimes pull that water out, and then you end up with like a wet, slimy gummy. It will always happen to gummies, even with tartaric. Tartaric slows it, and it acts almost like as a stopper to that weeping process. But if you want to put them into package and they won't stick, carnauba wax is always going to be like the best bet, and that's a question we get a lot. So yeah, do know carnauba wax is the best way to do it. Just one last stir on this, and we can get into our second demo.
Yeah, and I love the flavor drops because it is like such a huge like caramel aroma right now from just not a lot of
it's like a big aroma bomb going on in here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put water in the bottom of this. So this is going to be our Instagel. This is a cold setting gelatin, and we're going to make an alcoholic layered gummy. So we have two of them over there. We have a tequila sunrise and a Piña Colada. So this is going to be the pineapple part of the Piña Colada. The last thing I just put in was some white rum. If you want, you can put in a little bit of coloring. If you wanted to do this with pineapple juice, you could. You just won't get that same big bright flavor because you are putting a lot of gelatin in here, which can kind of mute flavors a little bit. It has good flavor release, but it's not the best. So we are going to use our pineapple flavor drops here, just about half. If you go too much, it can just be overpowering, because they are pretty potent. I have my acid here, which is our tartaric, and our sugar here. I can put this directly in. And then as I get this blending, I'm going to gently sprinkle in the Instagel. So I'm just going to start this going. It's really that simple. What's happening right now is this will melt directly into the water. The sugar will melt as well. And then we won't lose any of that alcohol because we're not heating this at all.
Okay. So I think in general, if someone does want to make alcoholic gummies, probably Instagel is the way to go.
Yes, 100%. So if you're making alcohol-based, this is going to be the best way. You know, people make like Jello shots or whatever. They have to heat up the gelatin, let it cool down. Sometimes they add too much alcohol, so you just end up with thick, thick alcoholic drink. So be sure, if you want to make a gummy, or even if you want to make, Jello shots or something like this, if you're back in college or something, as long as you're about 21 years of age, use Instagel. It's so easy. I mean, this is done.
All right.
This is done. All I have to do now is I can take it, put it into a beaker, and pour it. But we did an entire episode on boozy gummies.
I know. So this right now is the
try
Piña
that one
Colada.
right there.
All right, and you said the bottom is the
so
the
if
top
you want
layer.
to show it, you can see there's a coconut layer, and then you have a pineapple layer there.
Okay. Well, this looks great. I'm going to eat it while we're still waiting for this to
so this is going to come up. But this is basically done at this point. If you wanted to, I could whisk it really quick and get rid of those little clumps in there from the, that's just the milk powder that hasn't dissolved fully into there. But I have some that's ready to go. If I were to take this, Janie, and I wanted to pour it directly onto those, this is in a silicone mold, which silicone's a great insulator. It would melt all of this gummy at the bottom, and then you're left with a one flavored gummy that's one color, and brown and green mixed together makes brown, so you just have one colored gummy. So I've set these fully, and I let this sit until it is room temperature, and it'll be very tacky at this point, but here I can go and I can pour it right directly on top, and it will not melt it, right? So it might melt just a tiny layer, but that's great for making it stick together. But if you're doing this with the Instagel, they're both going to be so cold that they may have a layer in between where they don't stick. So you can either, take a torch and just, pop it real quick, and that'll melt just the thin layer of the Instagel. Obviously, make sure you're doing it in like a heat-proof silicone mold like these.
Yeah. That Piña Colada was excellent. So I kind of like the fun thing about this. Obviously, it looks really pretty. You have all these different colors and even a little bit of a textural difference between them.
Yeah, because I made the coconut really fatty because it has the coconut milk in it, so it has just like a mouth coating kind of creaminess to it.
Right. And what was this one at the end?
That one at the end is a tequila sunrise.
I kind of really love this too. What I like about this is that the colors are kind of fading into each other.
Oh, yes.
It's super, super pretty and delicious.
Yes. So that one's good. That one has obviously grenadine and tequila. This one here is my favorite. This is the caramel apple, which we just made. And on the outside of that, I just put a little bit of malic acid, which is the acid from apples. So you get that really bright kind of punch of apple flavor with the acid, and then it's super sweet with the caramel gummies that we just made here.
Oh.
But yeah, so it's so simple to make them, and if you wanted to make tons of different gummies, you absolutely could in a short amount of time.
Yeah, making gummies is super fun and super easy. If you want to try it for yourself, enter to win this week's giveaway, which will be a pack of the Perfectagel, the Instagel, and the Tartaric Acid. I say Tartaric.
Tartaric.
Tartaric
That's how I
Acid.
always heard.
Okay, Tartaric Acid.
Could be either of those.
You can just leave in the comments below what kind of layer gummy you would like to make. Can be anything. You can make soup gummy.
Oh, okay.
Gazpacho gummy. I don't know.
Gazpacho
Anything.
gummy sounds great.
Yeah, so whatever your imagination holds, we look forward to hearing from you. And remember to check out the other episodes if you haven't come across How Do You Make Gummies before. So until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin.